saw the building in January 2022. We had a building survey and a mechanical survey, but there was no access audit of the building undertaken. So the first time I came to the building, I realised that it didn't have step-free access. It wasn't very accessible. The last refurb was done 1 year after the Equality Act 2010, so a lot of things were outdated. So that's when I contacted Bureau Happold and specifically Jean, because I'd worked with her at the Moorfields redevelopment. I'm a nominated governor for Moorfields Eye Hospital. So I was able to bring Jean in to have a look at the building with me and then work out what needed to be done around accessibility, in particular around the built environment. But also then, because we are the RNIB and a high proportion of our staff, volunteers, customers are visually impaired and live with sight loss, we wanted to make sure that the building met their needs. And we have a lot of staff that are neurodiverse, so it was great to be able to bring in those features to the building and be one of the first organisations to also implement the PAS.
PAS stands for Publicly Available Specification, which makes it sound very prescriptive, but it actually isn't. It's actually guidance, and it's the first toe in the water, if you like, towards a standard. This one is around neurodiversity, and by neurodiversity you mean the whole umbrella, including neurotypical and neurodivergent. Probably back in 2009, I was asked to undertake an access audit. It was a sensory access audit, actually, and I said, well, by sensory, are you meaning sight and hearing? They said, oh, and autism. And that was the first time the thought of auditing against the needs of people who are autistic had ever crossed my radar, or I think anybody in the industry really. Around 2019-20, I then got a call to see if I would be interested in being technical author for this guide. And just so excited about it, I have to say, because it is such a new area. We kind of knew things were going wrong for people, but the opportunity to try and capture that in some way was sort of really at the heart. And I knew so many people who'd suffered, if you like, from being in buildings that just didn't meet their needs at all.
Well, I did research on exploring the design preferences of neurodivergent populations for quiet spaces. What I was interested to understand is, do people want the same thing? Does the same thing work for everyone, or are there differences? And the interesting thing that I found out from the research is that essentially your sensory profile will impact your design preferences and what you find as calming, as relaxing, as quiet. And essentially for this kind of space, for a quiet space, resource space, whatever you want to call it, it means that you need to have some flexibility, which in the quiet space may be very sensitive, but actually that's about the environment in general. And that's part of what we spoke about going around this building, is creating that variety, that flexibility, and allowing the user to have some control over the environment. And this is especially important if you're experiencing sensory overload, sensory underload, or just struggling with mental health, anxiety, and giving you the tools to cater to your needs is really giving you a lot. And then you can use those tools to cater to what you need, and hopefully find your way back, and find some peace, and then be able to continue the day.
It's a comfortable kind of working environment for everyone, regardless of sight condition or neurodiversity. People are saying it's a really welcoming, open space, and that's something we wanted in the brief. We really spoke about wanted to be a welcoming, safe, comfortable environment for people to work. People have quickly adapted to working from home, so we wanted to make this space really, really comfortable. So, what will tempt people to come in from home? Well, they want it to be accessible, want it to be comfortable, want to have facilities to hand. So that's what we're really driving towards.
I think our start point on this project was really great. It was with the stakeholder engagement, and we talked about their lived experiences. So that allowed us to work on a building, which is actually a very compact building, to insert a lot of very diverse uses, from a clinic to a shop to recording studios, and on top of that, all the workspace. We, I think, got to a point where the whole building flowed very naturally. I think that was very important, because you get then a good sense of space.
So we did a lot of stakeholder consultation. I mean, before we'd purchased this building, we were talking to staff about what would people want from the space, and the things that came up, there were common themes around lighting, around accessibility.
For me, one of the biggest gains was that we knew that RNIB had very significant feedback related to lighting from their existing building. So it was an aim from our side to deliver a new building and a refit that was definitely bringing the lighting from maybe the bad books into the good books. And what made a big difference is that in the working stations, all the employees have the ability to change the color of the light and the intensity of the light, and also play with the different emissions. We have downward and upward emission. So we're building in this flexibility to allow for people to actually tailor the light into their needs. And it is changing needs that could be depending on the task you're performing, the time of the day, or even the season in the year.
For me, it's actually wonderful because we've got the lighting, I can set a level to my needs for that particular day. It can vary for me. And we've also got some blinds as well, which we can kind of draw down to bring down if it's a very sunny day, and the sun's going to be coming from a window next to me, so we need to kind of bring that down as well, so we could kind of play around with just the lighting addition for everybody that's hopefully in the building.
For us to be able to follow up with all these conversations and have this post-occupancy period with the client and the different user groups to get that feedback. It is a learning process, especially with user groups with such a varied preference profiles. We are still learning, and we are here to support RNIB and make any changes as they go along, as we have been building a relationship of trust with them.
So it was really about maximising the building, but bringing a layer of accessibility on top of that, and working within quite a tight budget. You know, we're a charity, we don't have millions and millions to spend, but we wanted to spend that money really wisely, and I think we've done that with this space.
I think in this building, we've actually produced with RNIB something to celebrate. What we say is special today will be the future normal.
Sorry, it's my furry friend.